This particular model is called the Hydra 2. It does come with a Briggs & Stratton engine. It's exactly the same as the Amphibio remote, except for it doesn't have the remote start-stop functionality. On the Hydra 2, this part here is the external fuel tank, which extends the runtime out to about 3 hours on this model. So both Hydra 2 and the Amphibio remote use the Briggs & Stratton engine because the equivalent Honda engine wasn't strong enough to run this particular pump. So if we have a look underneath, the pump intake has a strainer across it, which obviously prevents any ingress of large debris into the pump impellers, and obviously the discharge out through to the Storts fitting on the end, which can be swapped for a range of different fittings. This one is a straight hose tail, so it can be adapted to suit other connections. Obviously, the first target audience, I suppose, is the rural fire brigades throughout Australia. So where they have access to water bodies that either can be used to refill tankers or for direct firefighting. These models are probably better for refilling tankers as opposed to direct firefighting due to the pressure pressure rating. Whereas the 1500, which we'll show you in a second, is well suited to direct firefighting because it's a high pressure model. These ones are better suited to water transfer. So this one has a max flow rate of over 1100 litres per minute. So in theory, could refill a 5,000 litre tanker in under 5 minutes. Or at, I think from memory, the 2 metre delivery head is around the 750 litres a minute. Obviously the manufacturing quality is a big factor, but I suppose if you're looking at the rural fire brigades, their alternative options are either a truck-mounted pump, where they draw straight from a water source, but that means that they need to be able to get their truck to within range of the water body, so it needs to have, an accessible point. Or the other alternative is a portable pump where they will take the pump down to the water's edge and run a suction hose into the water with or without a strainer on the end of it. Now, there's a bit of setup and mucking around involved with that, but also feedback that I have heard is that the portable pump sitting on the side of a dam or a lake, with the vibrations, they can start to vibrate themselves down towards into the water body themselves. So obviously if you're just throwing this out onto the water, there is no priming, it's self-primed. The water intake is sitting on the water surface, so it's ready to go as soon as it hits the water. Quicker setup. Obviously with a truck-mounted pump, you've either got to dedicate a whole truck to refilling tankers as they come, or keep one there. So it's if you're only having to keep the pump there, then it means you've got more resources out actually addressing the fire. So RFS is one use. Certainly we're seeing interest from agricultural and horticultural space. So whether that's in irrigation or flood relief, or even in seeing some interest from the marine sector. Yeah, there's a whole range of potential uses for these pumps. So here we've got the Amphibio floating strainers. We've got a maxi with a 4-inch outlet on it and a mini with a 3-inch outlet. The maxi is available with both a 4-inch and a 3-inch, and the mini is also available with a 4-inch and a 3-inch outlet, although these are the two configurations that we see as the most popular. simply due to the adapters that people are using to connect to their own hoses and hardware. We of course can provide them with any adapter that they are looking for, and we often do send them out with say cam lock, bower, Storts, or even just reduced BSP threaded outlets. So the Mini is good for a flow rate of up to 2,000 litres per minute, and the Maxi with the larger suction chamber is good for up to 2,700 litres per minute. So on the underside, that is the filter element. So a good open area ratio. We do have calculations on those if anyone's looking for further details. The biggest benefit of these strainers is that once you've got a pump primed connected to one of these strainers, it holds the prime on the pump with the rubber clap valve inside the strainer. So when you want to release prime on the pump, you pull this hook, which then drains the water out of the... So yeah, obviously both very light and manoeuvrable, easy to carry for one person. That's about 12 kilos, the Mini's about 8 kilos. And the other key benefit with these strainers is because it's a flat filter element on the underside, that sits flat on the water, which means that it can draw from a very shallow water body without causing pump cavitation. So it can be as small as 20 millimetres of water depth, whereas if you've got a typical wire mesh basket strainer on the end of a hose, you've obviously got to have the height of the hose plus whatever height of the strainer, otherwise you're going to be drawing air through the pump. So very versatile, and again similar uses or similar use cases as the pumps. We're seeing a lot from agricultural and horticultural spaces again, just farms with their own dams, and they might have a fire pump set up. They just add this to the permanent setup for their fire pump to draw from. Because it floats on the surface of the water, it's not drawing in the rubbish that's on the base, so it protects the pumps and helps them with a longer life. As the sole Australian importer for the product, we do hold a significant amount of stock here in Australia, which obviously means spare parts are available. We know the product, we know the parts, and we also understand or work with customers to understand their needs and their specific use cases, and we look at it from our own engineering background to ensure that what the customer is getting is going to meet their needs. So again, we're not just going to sell for the sake of selling. We will work with customers to ensure that what they end up with works for their needs.